The library has a total collection of 2,630 books. The number of nonfiction books is 240 than the number of fiction books, but 190 more than the number of picture books. How many books of each type are there in the library? So the first thing we're going to do is draw some bars to represent the different amounts. Since our fiction books are going to be greater than my nonfiction books, since the nonfiction books has 240 fewer, we'll start by creating a bar that will represent the number of fiction books. Nonfiction books have 240 fewer, so we will draw a shorter bar to represent those nonfiction books. And the difference in here is going to be 240. So I'm going to draw just kind of an imaginary missing piece that's going to be represented by 240 book difference. And then we have picture books. The nonfiction has 190 more than the number of picture books, so our picture books are going to be even shorter still. So we have the shortest bar for the picture books. And then this one is going to have 190 less than the nonfiction books. Well, obviously, whenever we're comparing different elements, we want to show what the difference is. I can see that I've got 3 different length bars, but if I put my imaginary missing piece in here, I can see that this bar would actually be the same as this if it just had 240 more books. This bar would be the same as these 2 bars up here if it has the extra 190 and it also had the extra 240. So then I would end up with 3 equal sections, and that's really what we're trying to get at whenever we are solving word problems. We want to come up with equal amounts as much as possible. So 3 different bars of 3 different lengths we can't really work with. But because we know small details about the differences, we can see what we could do to make them all the same. And sometimes we would even either shrink them or grow them to where we want them to end up. Well, once we have the bars laid out this way, this actually becomes a fairly easy problem to solve because we know that all 3 bars, of course, minus these missing pieces here, all 3 of these bars, fiction, nonfiction, and picture, come to a total of 2,630 books. If we've got 2,630 books, we could almost imagine that if we were to add another 240, and then another 240, and another 190, then we would have 3 equal sections. And if we were to divide whatever that total amount was among those 3 sections, I would get the total number of fiction books. Then I could just take 240 away to get the total of nonfiction books, and then another 190 away with the other 240 to get the total of picture books. So there's going to be a bit of math involved here as far as operation processing, but it's certainly doable. So one of the first things I can do is take my 2,630 and add in the 240, add in another 240, and add in the 190 to get kind of a total imaginary amount of books if these pieces were filled in. So if these pieces were filled in, I could see that I would have a total of 3,300 books. And if I were to split it among the 3 bars that would now be of equal length since I added these extra ones in, I can see that I would end up with exactly 1,100 books for one of these total bars. But since these ones have missing pieces, we know that really this one is the only one I can fill in for right now. My fiction books should come to a total of 1,100 books. Of course, for nonfiction, we're just simply going to take 240 away. So I end up with 860 nonfiction books. And then the last thing I need to do is take another 190 away. Since I already have this amount here, if I take another 190 away, I'll end up with the number of picture books. And so now to clearly display this, I would come up with a sentence. And then circle that as my final answer. Well done.